Welcome everybody to Zero to Income. We're glad to have you here. I'm Sean. I'm here with Dana, and we're helping you get your businesses started.
We want to help you move from financial dependence to financial freedom.
From dreaming to achieving.
From blindly following the masses to being an independent thinker.
From zero to income.
This is Dana and Sean here from Zero to Income. That is ZERO, the number 2, income.com. You can go there. It's a website. It really is online. It has an email collector, by the way. You can type in your email address and we will release to you information as it comes out on the tools that we are building to make our lives better, easier as we launch our businesses. We are on the war path to make things, to shift the mental struggle that we have from frustration to freedom. And that's where we're going to go in today's podcast.
Yeah. We're going to go into just talking about, again, that amount of time that you put, the amount of money that you put, that amount of energy that you put into your investments. And are we doing this wisely is one of the main questions that we want to look at.
So to set the stage a little bit, one of the frustrations, and we both have felt this, Sean, is that we go down these paths of starting a business. We have an idea. We think our idea is stellar. I can give you an example. Buddy of mine in Maine is battling cancer, and he gifts me some domains that are great domains for businesses. One of them is mainevacations.com, a fantastic domain. And I took that and I started to shape an idea around it. Like, what if there was a directory service available for, lodging, hotels, and all of this? And it's right on mainevacations.com. So I start to pour some time and some energy into this. And then there's tools I need to buy. So I go and buy a license for this directory platform that I'm going to use. And then I got to get my Stripe connected to it for payment. I got to figure out the pricing model. I got to figure out all this stuff. I got to get connected to social media, because if you're in that market, you really got to be on social. And I started to pour a lot of time and energy and money into this. Where did I go wrong?
It's a stellar idea, and it should work. The key word there is should.
Right. So like we talked last time about developing an idea and just being able to build it from the ground up. But really, at what point should you be, should you have this mental shift from developing an idea to actually taking action on the idea? I think there's a really gray area around that.
Well, I think there's even another component of, and I think a lot of people do look at this, and that is, developing your idea, taking action idea, and then also at the point of, do we need to pivot? Do we keep taking action? Is this going anywhere? I don't know if that's kind of.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. So, and by the way, Maine Vacation still exists, and I have a lady in Maine, Elizabeth, who's taking care of a lot of what's going on that website. However, I spent so much dang money on getting that to where it is today, and the output that I have gotten from it is so dang little. I would say I've probably spent $9-10 grand.
Mm-hmm.
9-10 grand. I bought a license that was $1,500. I put up a server. I'm paying for some email accounts through Office 365. I have social media connectors and everything to make that easier. Those are all subscription based. And over time, and I bought advertising.
Yep.
And it's like, gosh, before you know it, it's like you're throwing money into a slot machine, hoping that the next coin is going to produce something.
Yep. You're hoping, and you're rolling the dice. Hey, will I get those numbers that I want? And you didn't even mention, the amount of money you put in, but you didn't even mention how much time did you put in?
Oh my goodness, it's phenomenal amount of time, phenomenal. So that was a huge learning lesson for me, and it's an ongoing lesson because I'm still trying to get that business launched the way it should be, and I've got a lot of frustrations around that that I'm trying to deal with. And then you get to a point mentally where you feel like I am just spinning my wheels. I am just throwing coins into a machine that is a bottomless pit, hoping that somehow magically something is going to click that is going to bring all of these pieces together and make my investment worthwhile.
Yep. Yep. It's kind of like cooking, I'm just going to, I mean, who goes out and sits down and says, hey, I'm going to make spaghetti and I'm just going to throw everything in it and hope that it comes out right. Hey, maybe throw in some cream of mushroom soup. Let me throw in some corn, and you're just throwing in stuff left and right, hoping it's going to come out like spaghetti.
Yeah. It's like a business recipe, right? I'm going to throw in some marketing. I'm going to throw in some ad spend. I'm going to throw in a domain. I'm going to throw in an ebook. And then all of a sudden, magically, these things are going to click together and make a business. Well,
ta-da!
Yeah, exactly. Like it's magically going to come out of nothing. But we've been talking about this a lot with this idea and how important, like the book Donald Miller's book Story Brand, how important that work is and how it gives you a much more simple mindset before you even start thinking about ad dollars and all of those things. You actually have messaging that can be used. In other systems, you're creating your messaging on the fly in your email campaign because you actually don't even really know what to say. You're just stuck.
Yep.
And so you make it up. And somehow that's going to resonate with people. I think people can probably see through it. I think we're smart enough to see through that.
Most of the time, you would like to think so. But I also think that I think with a lot of this stuff, it really is, you don't know what you don't know either. Hey, this guy sounds like he knows what he's talking about. It sounds like this is going to work.
Right. So we're spinning the wheel. Deal me more cards. I'm in. Put my chips in. And then eventually the burnout happens. Or then we say, we've got some excuse. Well, that idea didn't work because, and we give ourselves a pass on that. And then we enter into this new idea. And my wife would say, look, I have switched. Dana Morrison has switched his ideas so many times. She would say that. I don't know about your wife, Sean. I've heard your story. Can you give us like the 5,000-foot view of the Amazon story? I just
5,000-foot view, 2014, checking out, hey, how can I start a new entrepreneurial business that I can work from home? Did some research, listened to some podcasts, made it, a master's program. I want to just study, come across Amazon FBA. Hey, this looks like it'll work, and just took off and started playing with it. And that in and of itself had many, many changes. Went to selling used books to selling stuff from retail, going to the store, buying things from Target, selling them on Amazon, to going straight to the manufacturer and then building a business that way. But in that process, I can't tell you how many other things I tried. And yeah, it's, the wife is like, oh, another venture, trying something else new now. And it's the life of an entrepreneur. It's just, you're always pivoting, always trying things.
Which is good. It's good if you have that mindset. And by the way, the name of that book is Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller. Excellent book. Both of us would highly recommend it.
Yeah. And for those that are listening here, we actually are reading this book together, and it's the foundation of our business and businesses, where, if you don't have a strong foundation to build on, it's just not going to, it's going to be shaky, and so this is going to help you identify and carry out the messaging all the way through your business and all facets of your business. And we highly recommend, reading the Story Brand, dialing in your message, figuring out who your hero is going to be, because it's not you, people. It's not, you're not the hero. All right.
You're going to be the guide for somebody else. Yeah. We want to make their customers the heroes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to get back to something you said, because you had kind of mentioned, you got to build a foundation for this. So I was telling Sean before we started recording today that my brain is kind of weird in that it works like if somebody tells me something, somebody makes a statement of truth, oftentimes I try and cross apply that statement of truth and test it test it mentally across different domains. And so I'm thinking like somebody says, okay, time management works a certain way. Well, I'm immediately applying time management in practice to, okay, how do I manage my time when I'm exercising, when I'm running, when I'm biking? How do I manage my time in the workplace? Does this rule hold true in other facets of life and to the priorities that I hold dear? Because for me, family is a non-negotiable. It's high on the priority list. So if there's a huge conflict in time and somebody says, well, that's not important, focus on this other thing, I'm going to reject it. And I'm going to say, no, time with my family is important and it's more important than almost anything else I do. So, no, I'm going to disagree with that and I'm going to discard whatever that statement was. And I'll probably file it in special bin in my head that says things that lies that people have told me.
Did not stand the test of time or did not stand the test of Dana.
No. So foundationally, I want to talk about foundations, and I'm going to hold up. We're trying a video recording of this, by the way. And if it doesn't work out, you're just going to hear the audio. It doesn't matter. But I'm going to hold up, Sean. I'm holding up a training chart, and we had talked about this before. This was the training chart that I used when I ran the 50 miler.
Wow.
And when I invest that amount of time, energy, resources into something, I want to see an output. And I think that is logical. When we stack things together as an investment of time or whatever it is, then I think naturally we want to get something in return for that investment. For me, it was running 50 miles on my 50th birthday. And I was like, this is a one-time thing. I got one shot at this. I got one day I can pull this off. Even if it's raining, I'm going to figure out a way to get this to work because I want to be able to do this on my birthday. So I turned 50, and you can't just go out and run 50 miles. You got to train. And so what I'm holding up for Sean to see is, what has it got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's got like 12 training weeks on it. And I went online. I got a training chart for an ultra marathon, and I started picking away on the miles. So week 1, 5 miles, 4 miles, 8 miles, 8 miles, 75 push-ups on Friday.
Wow.
10 miles, and then 35 miles total that week. Well, the next week was 50 miles total. The next one was 54. Then there was a little bit of a break week. It went down a little bit, went down to 24. Then it came up to a 34, 48, 42, 49. 1 week I ran 52 miles, 24. And then the actual week that I ran the 50th, I ran a total of 63 miles. And yeah, go ahead.
I want to interrupt you here. Pardon me here. Because I want everybody to kind of understand what's going on here. These are the miles for the whole week, right?
Correct.
Let's clarify. All right.
35, 50, 54. Yeah.
Okay. So people, I still want you to get this. That's for the whole week. He's going to run 50 miles on his birthday in one day. All right.
Because he's a crazy man. Because he's a crazy, crazy man. And everybody thought I was crazy, but everybody had so much fun with me that day. And I had so much fun with all the people, all the sports.
And you did do it.
Yeah. So here's the thing, though. You think, oh, well, that's, oh, I don't know. That's crazy. That's crazy. Here's the thing. Look, 5 miles running at what I was calling a very slow training pace. That was an hour to an hour and 10 minutes on one day. On Tuesday, 4 miles. So that was probably a little shy of an hour worth of training. 8 miles on a Wednesday. So maybe up to a couple hours. So if you added up the time on this chart, then you would have a certain amount of time that, so a certain amount of time, excuse me, a certain amount of energy. And I was getting enjoyment out of it, as crazy as that is. then I got to get that fulfillment, that climax on my birthday with the 50th run. There was a prize in that I will never forget. The community coming together and people running checkpoints and everything that was involved. And I've kept this as a reminder that when you work hard at something, you get an output. Now, there's going to be a frustration flip here. Okay. So I have this and I can see very easily all of that training and all of that time invested. So afterwards, I have this. This is actually a content plan, but it's basically also, well, this one isn't the calendar, but I've got a 12-week content plan for the business I've been working on, IT Path. But also I have this training log here, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
This is a business training log.
Yep.
So these are what I have here now in front of me is a list of days and hours that I worked on my business. I expect an output from this work, and I really expect some output. I feel like to get such incredible enjoyment on my 50th birthday running 50 miles, why is it that I can invest time and time and time and time, more time in trying to launch my business with this training log, way more time doing this than that 50-mile training plan, and have almost nothing to show for it.
Yep. And again, folks, for those that are just listening to this and haven't seen the video or don't have the opportunity to see the video, that training log was just a piece of paper with written down time, time that you spent on it. And, you can use a spreadsheet. I'm thinking actual piece of paper and pencil makes a whole lot of sense. I haven't done that in a long time. I'm thinking about doing that. But you got a good point, Dana. All the time that you've put into this, and there's no climax. And it's just kind of like, where's again the formula for this? And you going back to my time with Amazon, once I found, hey, this idea of selling products on Amazon, within weeks I was sending in books. Within weeks, I was making money. Weeks, not months, not years, weeks. And here we're talking about all this time and energy you've put into this new business, and crickets.
Right. So if I take my my training, my 50-mile training goes before even what I have logged on this paper. What I have logged on this paper is a few hundred miles worth of training, but this was basically the last 11, 12 weeks of my training plan. So if I looked at my training for the 50-mile in its entirety, it's going to look like something like 750 miles worth of training. So let's say I ran 4 miles an hour, which is stinking slow. But let's say I ran 4 miles an hour for those 750 miles. That would be 187 training hours. Now, when I look at this training log, following somebody else's plan, this is also following a plan, by the way, people. I didn't just pull this out of thin air. I'm following a plan, okay? A plan that somebody gave me. And I'm following this plan, and I have about the same amount of time logged on this plan as it took me for the entire 50-mile training program. Why is it that my business isn't launched? Why is it that I don't have a single paying customer on itpath.net? It doesn't make sense. The output does not equate for the amount of input that has been put into that business. So you get to a certain place and you become frustrated. Now, ITPath, by the way, ITPath is still out there. I'm still working on that business. Actually, I'm applying some new practices to that business to turn it into a success. Simplicity, all the kinds of things that Sean and I are talking about, going back through it with this building a story brand from that book by Donald Miller, incredible stuff. But
which I'm doing the same thing on mine as well, everybody. We're taking that my story brand, building a story brand, and applying it to each of our other business ventures. Dana with IT Path, me with the Membership Answer Man, and it's a constant evolving, and tweaking.
So at some point, you're going to feel like in your business, you could feel this way right now. You could be part of some expensive program, some elite program that says, oh, we'll guarantee you're going to get to, you go through our, 52-week program, our 26-week program, you're going to have your business launch. I mean, there's a lot of promises out there, and a lot of those are very expensive programs. But when you start asking questions about what the success rates are of those programs, crickets. I've asked, I know, Sean, people that have asked about various program prices and haven't got a response.
Yep.
A lot of empty promises. So where do we go actually from this? And we're gonna come back, and we're gonna take a break in a second, but I want you to think about this. If you get a shovel and you say, you know what, I just believe that hard work is going to pay off. So I'm just going to go grab a shovel, and I'm going to go in the backyard, and I'm going to start digging a hole. Because if I start digging a hole, people are going to come to my business, and they're going to know that I'm a hole digger and that I'm dang good at digging holes, and they're going to hire me. That's not going to work, is it?
Dig it and they will come.
Yeah. Well, you were saying something earlier today about the whole build it and they will come mentality, which just doesn't really fly.
No, it doesn't fly, and yeah, it got me thinking again about that whole, something that Dana mentioned earlier before this call. And that was, if you go to a financial advisor and the financial advisor says, pay me $10,000, I'm going to help you invest and make you money. And you pay him $10,000, you're expecting to make at least $10,000, and you keep paying that financial advisor $10,000, over and over every year with no results. Are you going to keep digging a hole and seeing nobody coming to you to hire you to dig holes?
Yeah. So let's take a break, and when we come back from the break, let us consider some. What I'm going to do, Sean, is when we come back, I'd like to apply a training method that I learned when I was running marathons. I'd like to apply a training method a little bit to what we've been talking about, and also bring in some another book, another author that we've been talking about as well. So let's take a break, and we'll be right back. This is Dana from the Zero to Income podcast, and I would like to ask you two questions. The first question is, how much money have you sunk into getting your idea launched? Maybe you don't even know. I can tell you, for me, it has been about $20,000 on 2 ideas getting them launched. And I'm frustrated because, you know what? I got a lot of promises from different platforms, different providers and services out there that I would be able to get my idea launched within a certain period of time. And now I'm coming away with frustration, and I'm mad. I'm mad as a hornet. I don't like to waste my money. I want to see an investment come to fruition. When I spend money on a tool, when I spend money on some online program that's going to help me, I expect it to help me. So I'm frustrated. Sean and I have been working on zerotoincome.com for a while, and we're getting to a place where we're going to start launching some of these ideas out in the marketplace. Some ways that you can actually launch your business with very few hours. You can get your idea tested in the marketplace with very low investment. Wouldn't that be great for you to be able to take your idea, be able to plug it into some things, some tools, and figure out who the avatar is that you're trying to sell to? Try to figure out how do you communicate them in a meaningful way, and stop wasting time, energy, money, and then becoming away with a frustration that all of these programs are delivering to you complexity. Well, Zero to Income, we want to deliver to you simplicity. We want to take your frustration, we want to turn it into freedom. Freedom financially, freedom emotionally, and we want to be able to give you the tools that allow you to test out a very simple stack for your business with as little investment, that's time investment and money investment, as possible. So if you would like to know more about what gets released, when it gets released, all of that, go to zerotoincome.com. That's ZERO, the number 2, income.com, and get on the mailing list. We will let you know when the tools develop. Enjoy the rest of the program. Okay, so coming back to this topic, we've been talking a lot about digging holes, about wasting energy, wasting time, wasting resources. So really, there's three things. There's time, energy, and money. And I think, I think you've heard it said too. Correct me if I'm wrong. So there's a saying, something like you either have time or money. How does that go?
Oh,
If you don't have the money, then you have to have the time or something like that to make to.
I know exactly what you're saying. It's going to either take a lot of time or it's going to, or you pay for it, so,
Right.
And I don't know what the exact saying is, but I know what you're saying.
Right. And I think as far as the digging holes goes, this book here, I'm going to put it up on the screen. We'll put it in the show notes, but do you have a copy of this one yet?
I do not. No,
man, you gotta get your copy of this guy. This is the book Effortless by, and I apologize, Greg, because I've heard your name pronounced a couple different ways, but Greg McKeown, McKeown. So I don't know if that's McKeown or McEwen, but I've heard it both ways online. So we'll go with McEwen. It sounds better. I don't know. So I apologize if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, Greg, but the book Effortless, which is a companion book to another one that he has called Essentialism. I haven't even read that one. I just happened to see this one in a bookstore and I said, that looks like a great book. I'm going to give it a shot. And when I started to dig into it, I was hooked, man. I was hooked. He's talking about ways to make life easier. And I'm all about making projects work smoother and easier. But I'd like to kind of walk into a training program here that there was a running book that came out years ago. And I apologize if you're not into running, but just follow me on this. I think you'll find this is valuable information, especially when it applies to business. There's a book called First, the First Institute. It's about running 3 days a week. Actually, the book's title is called Run Less, Run Faster. And there was quite a shakeup in the running community when the book was released because people are like, you can't do that. You can't run less and run faster. But their data, all of their research from the First Institute showed, in fact, they were making people much faster runners. They were qualifying for the Boston Marathon, and people were seeing times, just crazy times.
Wow.
Just by running 3 days a week.
Wow.
Imagine if you only had to work on your business 3 days a week, Sean. What would your schedule look like? What would you do? What would you do with your time? If you were like, okay, I only have to work 3 days a week.
Spend time with family.
Okay.
That's where it's going. It's going to be spending time with family, and that's good. Run less, run faster, and what would you do if you had all that time? 4 days a week, people. Think about that. 4 days a week to do other things, to guide other things.
Yeah. And the point is too, that the running that's practiced in this book, the type of training is you have one very intense training day. However, the amount of time spent in training on that day, because you're doing interval runs, is very short. So though it's really intense, it's very short. Now, the next day that you run, so you run, like for me, I was running Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday. On what my Wednesday run was longer, but it was at a more moderate, a pace that you could hold better. So I was going maybe a little bit faster than a marathon pace. And then the third day of the week, that is the book right there. Sean just pulled it up in chat. Run less, run faster. And then the third day would be a long run at your marathon pace, or a little bit slower than your marathon pace. And so that long day always felt so easy to me. I was going out and I was running 10 or 12 miles. Now look, when I was training for my 50 miler, There was Saturdays that I was doing a marathon and then turning around on Sunday, because you have to know what it feels like to run on tired legs. I turn around on Sunday and I do another 10 or 12 miles. And Sunday, after a while, you just get used to it. Like, this is what my body feels like, and you just get used to it. However,
Wow.
think about like just training 3 days a week. What if your business could operate on 3 days a week, and you've got one day, and I'm just cross applying what I've learned. Like, what this is what, like I told you guys, this is how my brain works. What if I cross applied that knowledge about running into business, and that one day was intense, but it was short? All right, I'm going to focus really tight on some intense objectives, but that's it. I'm done. Okay. Day 2. All right, now I'm going to focus. These are going to be a little bit, this is going to be not quite as intense, and it's going to be a little bit longer, and it's going to be, a little bit less compression in that time. And then on some final day of the week, it's longer, but it's more like, oh, this is just easy stuff, mindless. I can just do this in my sleep. I can just, because that's how I felt like when I was running, 12 miles to 20 miles, whatever, on a Saturday. I just felt like, oh, boop, 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 just pacing along. And it didn't feel like a big deal.
Imagine if we could do that, 3 days of training, and then you sit down and it's like, this is no big deal. Imagine that feeling of effortless, and seeing results. Yeah. I'm thinking here, people. I don't know if you can tell, but I'm, man,
I see smoke coming out of those ears, Sean.
Yeah, smoke's coming out.
Okay. So when we apply ourselves correctly, I think this is where my brain goes. If this is true, then what has happened? What is taking up my time? What is taking up my energy? How come I am not in an effortless state when I am just focusing flat out on my business and trying to get my business launched? What's wrong? What's wrong? Going back to the foundation, like the thinking forward from the idea. Like, Sean, what do you think? Like, what's broken in our mindset that like goes back to like the early stages of trying to develop our business?
Well, I think part of what's broken in a lot of the mindset here with just the premise of, again, if I dig this hole, people will come. The concept of, if I just keep busy and keep at this enough, it's going to work. And it comes down to that whole idea of going and someone giving you a handful of darts and putting you in a dark room and saying, hey, the dartbird's over there, just start throwing, and you're thinking, if I throw enough darts, I'm going to hit that dartboard. I'm just going to sit here and keep throwing darts. Where if someone came in and said, hey, let's turn on the lights, let's show you some techniques to throwing the darts, and give you some strategies that have been proven to lead to actually hitting the dartboard. I think a lot of us don't realize that we're just going to work hard and it's going to work out.
Yeah. And so we get plugged into complicated systems, and you were talking about it. We were talking about it earlier today, scope creep. I've started working on something, and then I've got to make it just a little bit better. Oh my goodness. Sometimes that just happens.
That desire for perfection, it's got to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be perfect, minimum viable product, just get something out there. But like we're getting, making sure it's effortless and leading to results. We don't want to just keep doing something. And that's the whole reason of a minimum viable product. You find out, is this going to work or not?
Yeah.
So, you don't just keep digging the hole, dig deeper and deeper and deeper.
Now, somebody who's in a community that Sean and I are a part of was mentioning about creating a book on Amazon. It was the person created a coloring book. The person has a cleaning. The person sells cleaning products. Hey, Jody, if you're out there listening, shout out to Jody. Super great, super nice person. And Jody had shared that she had put together a coloring book, and she said it was so super easy. And in my head, I'm thinking, what? Wait a second. Okay, so she used AI to do some aspects of it. And then I'm like, well, hold on. How easy was it? And she put in caps, very easy. And so I was thinking, well, hold on. I've got a journal idea. I've had it for a long time. It's a 4-column journal with just lines on the page and a particular heading on each column. How hard would it be for me to actually create that and put that on Amazon and make it available for sale? Less than 2 hours later, people. Less than 2 hours later. It's done. I'm just basically waiting for Kindle Book Publishing, or what is it called?
KDP.
KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, to give me the approval.
And I'm smiling here because I remember that conversation, and she said very easy, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing messages from Dana going, "I just did it," and it's just like we're all going, "Wow!"
And so then I was thinking, all right, well, this is going to be a hardcover journal book. Is it really going to print in everything the way that I want? Like, is it going to be like, you can open a journal and they kind of like can lay flat and everything. So I thought, well, maybe there's another company out there that specializes in print books that are like that. So I found another one, Lulu Press, and less than an hour, people, because I could take the same file and I could use it. Excuse me. I could use that same file. I dropped it into Lulu, and I recreated my product in Lulu, and I went ahead and, like, it was less than an hour, I ordered one so that I could actually see the quality, and so I'd be able to compare the quality between that one and the Amazon Kindle version. It's not Kindle, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
The Amazon version.
And again, that's Lulu, LULU.com.
Yeah.
And you just go and it's self-publishing,
Right. So it doesn't have to be hard. I don't even have a website for that journal. Now, I could start developing if that journal starts to take off and starts to sell, you better believe I'm going to have a website fairly soon that outlines, that journal and maybe a paperback version and, in different sizes and everything else, because I want to be able to take advantage of the market if people are interested in it. But I at least got an MVP, minimum viable product, out on the market with less than 2 hours in one platform and less than an hour in another platform, and boom, I'm done.
You're done, and that minimum viable product, if it sees some success and you didn't know, hey, well, now I can take this journal and I can adapt it to other kind of domains, if you will. We were talking about that also earlier. But I'm looking at Lulu's website right now, and I see a picture of a dog. I'm going to make this journal about, journals for dog lovers. I'm going to write about, my dog's daily routine, a journal for cat lovers. And you can just take it and spin from it, spin off if that minimum viable product actually, had some success.
Right. Now,
but you're not going to go down that path if there hasn't been some of that success.
Absolutely. And I'm holding up my log, people. 180 something hours working on IT Path and not a single customer. 2 hours, actually, total of 3 hours. And I have a published journal book that's available on 2 platforms that I can start testing to see if people are going to buy it.
So you did get on Lulu then? All right.
Oh yeah. I don't know if it's actually shown up on their site available for sale yet, but I went through the whole publishing process, and they also have a direct print option. It costs more to get them printed, but I hear the quality of the book is a lot better. And I think for somebody who's writing a journal that they're probably going to want to keep and save, I think that's probably a smart idea. So that's why I want to compare the quality of the books, but it's available. And it tells me what I'll make. And it's not going to be huge. I'll make, maybe $10, something like that off the when somebody purchases it. But I'm testing something. I'm actually getting closer. That I feel like that got me closer to something than all of the time and energy I've been spending on IT Path. But I really enjoy tech. I love talking about tech. So
yeah, tech's one of those things you could definitely talk about for hours and hours and hours and what have you. Yeah, I get that. I'm there too. I nerded out. Well, talking about nerding out on tech, I went back and forth with Jody a little bit on her book stuff, and I was going into the numbers and going over the Amazon bestseller rank. You talk about, hey, I'm only going to make $10. Well, there's books on Amazon that are a fraction of the cost. I'm like, they're not making any money at those $6-7 price points, but with a bestseller rating of 600 or 700, or even let's just say 100,000, if they're getting $2 a book, and that book is selling 10 or 15 a day, then it's like, hey.
Okay, now you're getting a little bit of something, and you're starting to get better testing the market and find out. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there was Saturday Night Live used to. You just reminded me of something. That's the way it works with Sean and I. We just feed off each other. You reminded me of an old Saturday Night Live sketch, and it was about a bank that just made change. I don't know if you ever saw it, but they made a commercial.
No, I never saw it.
It was like, oh, I can go to the Change Bank, and I'm this isn't the name of it. I can't remember exactly what it was, but maybe Sean, you can find it. I don't know. I want to go to the Change Bank, and it was so easy for me to turn $1 into 4 quarters, or $1 into 3 quarters, 2 dimes and a nickel. And then somebody else gives a testimonial. Once I needed $20 worth of pennies, and I went to I forget what all the denominations were that people were changing, and I was able to get whatever change, and the bank president comes on, and he's asked a question, how is it that you make any money? And he says, volume, lots and lots of volume. And sometimes that's how it feels when we're starting up our business. We're just changing $1 for 4 quarters. And we're like, well, where's the rest? And we're not making any money. And we're frustrated because we've got a time investment, and we heard a lot of promises, really a few people that did well in a particular program. And that's what the majority of what we hear is from these few people. But then under the surface, there can be a lot of frustrated users, a lot of frustrated people that are trying to get their business going, but can't. And we want to avoid that. We don't want to do that. Zero to income, we want to make it as thin and easy as possible. So let's go back to the idea, because last time you guys were talking, if you didn't listen to the first episode, go back and listen to it. We gave you some strategies for brainstorming what an idea is that you might have that you can take to market. Get your idea. That's it. Just get your idea. Don't worry about website. Don't worry about domain, whatever else. Just get the idea. This is foundation. Idea is foundation. Next, you start going through a book like My Story Brand, Building Your Story Brand by Donald Miller, and you start building the fundamentals around it, that the problem that you're solving and everything else, so that you have a clear understanding of who your market is. Before you've dropped a penny into an ad, you know how you're going to market that ad. It's not a matter of, oh, I need to go create an ad. Now I don't know what to do. I don't know, how am I going to get people to click it or whatever. Story Brand has already taught you that, because you know what your messaging is. So that when you get to that point, everything else is going to click into place so much easier. And Sean is pounding the chat here with a bunch of links and all of that. And I am going to get these, links, books and all of that stuff. We'll get this stuff into the show notes. But everything else is going to piggyback off of, I've got my messaging for my business already solved. I already know how I'm going to test this in the market. Okay, now what? A super easy website, setting up an email account, and setting up some very basic structure that does not involve a lot of time, energy, and resources to keep it going.
Yeah, I think you mentioned something, just making things stupid easy. Effortless and stupid easy. You're going to hear us talk
I think my words
that.
were in a call to you was stinking easy.
Stinking easy. Yep.
Stinking easy.
And that resonated so much for me. I don't think it's able. I think it might be going backwards there on the screen, but it says keep it easy. Yeah, good. Yeah, keep it easy. And I should rewrite that. Keep it stinking easy. And that's sitting right here in front of my computer. And I think that's where we really need to keep focusing on as we go through this stuff. Everybody is always just asking, is this effortless? And yes, we're going to have some challenges, but still, is this effortless? Is this stinking easy? Both for ourselves and then whoever we're serving.
Yeah, and that's one reason why Sean and I are doing this, because as we've had conversations, this what we're talking about here is, it's almost like effortless to us. I mean, this is fun. We get to talk about our passions. We get to talk about business. We get to talk about the ways that we can help people out and help them streamline, make you guys the heroes for your people. And then, then you can make your people the heroes. It's like, you're going to pass this down through time here.
And that's, Dana just mentioned something also, that when you're developing, going back to our first podcast episode and what we kind of referred to a couple times here in this call, going back to the idea, when you're formulating that idea, that could be one of kind of the questions you ask yourself. Is this something I enjoy? Is this fun for me? Because if it's fun, it's going to be a lot more effortless for you. You're going to enjoy doing it. Christine out there loves to, RV. It's fun for her. And so her focus is on helping, other people learn how to RV. So that's important. Have fun.
Yeah. Be able to have fun. Let the idea resonate. Have fun. Any other thoughts around this idea before we close this one out, Sean? The whole idea of spending a lot of time, energy, resources. Did we hit all of them? We talked about time. We talked a little bit about energy. We talked about money, about making big investments in things. Like, man, I'm like total of like 20 grand in on ideas. And I'm waiting for the kickback.
You talked about that also, and that obviously you'll hear a lot of people say that, you're going to spend money or you're going to spend your time, and what do you have, what do you have more of? Exactly. And you're spending both. And I can look back to my times when I was first starting off the Amazon business again. It took no money at all to start selling used books. I mean, to see, I think my first course was like maybe $197. I don't even know if it was that much. And then, okay, I can go buy a book at the library for $1, and there's tools and everything that I can go and see how much it's selling on Amazon. But within weeks, I'm selling this book that I bought for $1 for $15, or I'm selling a language program that I found at Goodwill. It was brand new, still in the package, and I bought it for like $10-15. And it was more of what they call a long tail item. Didn't sell for 2 or 3 months, but when it sold, this $10-15 language program sold for like $150. Folks, that's what we're talking about here. Is I didn't have to invest hundreds of thousands of dollars. All right, there are people out there who started Amazon businesses on $600 and are making 20 million a year now in gross sales. And that's not their net, but their gross sales are 20 million a year. They started off with $600.
Wow. That 3-day a week training program, one day is intense. One day, and they document this in the book. One day is intense. One day is like your middle, and then one day is your easy run. And they said that the problem that most people have is they're too easy on their intense day, and they're too intense on their easy day. That's not exactly a quote there, but that idea that we should be structuring time around what's available. Like I just can't go out and run for 6 hours and say, and do that 3 days a week and say, oh, I'm sorry, dear, I'm training. Oh, it's so important because I'm out there training. Look at me, I'm training. This is going to be a big deal. And this is all going to come to fruition. That's not going to fly. If I'm making, my investment should be making something. And you know what? I just thought of the parable of the talents. You know the parable of the talents, Sean?
I don't know that one.
In the New Testament, Jesus gives a parable, and he says, there's not a king, a master of a house gave one of the people, one of his servants gave him 1 talent, another one he gave 5, and another one he gave, or one I can't remember exactly what the numbers are, 1, 2, and 5 I think it was, or something like that. And when he came back, the one who had 5 had gained 5 more and had 10. The one that had 2 had gained 2 more and had 4. The one that had 1 buried it. And the master of the house said, man, you're a slothful servant. you know? And the thing is, like, do we have this mindset of only if I can spend 4 hours or 8 hours on a complete work day that I can get something productive done? If we have that mindset, then our mindset is crooked, it's shifted, it's broken. Even in minutes, can we invest in our businesses just by simple application of things and not overthinking the challenge? Every little thing. I posted a podcast today and I realized, the title screen, it was for IT Path and it's good content, but the title screen wasn't exactly like I wanted. But I had gotten to that point in the process and I said, you know what? This title screen is good enough for now. I'm going to hit submit.
Yeah. And being aware, you're being aware of your time, and I think that you mentioned something also that I didn't want to let go, and that was utilizing ways of tools, and what I'm getting at here is, Dana, you created a tool and you also went over, I'm pretty sure, a YouTube video on this tool that would allow people to go and develop, 20 emails with sitting down with a specific tool in a matter of minutes, and so a lot of this also kind of goes back to, not only just I'm going to spend 8 hours doing something and be successful at it. There are ways also that aren't going to cost you a ton of money that you can spend less than an hour and getting results. And so much of this is always just asking ourselves, is this leading to results? And then asking, like what Dana kind of hinted at also, is this good enough?
Yeah. Is it good enough? The book I got out there, I could have been nitpicky, the columns and making sure I had a line in the columns and doing all sorts of things, getting nitpicky about getting that thing onto Amazon. But
did you get the right color too? Because there's a certain color that's going to attract more customers. I hope you went and did your research on that.
Yeah. So I mean, the point is, I don't think anybody's going to care because they're going to just be writing in it.
Yeah.
So let's we need to come to a close here. But the idea is stop spinning your wheels on things that don't matter. And I'm going to tell you, Sean, today I've decided with itpath.net, I'm not going to do the daily emails until I'm actually getting to a place where there's enough whatever on the site, content, whatever, to really be driving value for people that are at itpath.net. I've only got 40 some subscribers to that email list. Why am I bending over backwards for those 40 some people right now when it's just ends up being another thing I have to manage? So I'm just focused on getting the podcast out, dropping an email that the podcast been released, and focusing on that podcast traffic, because it seems like I get more from that than what I'm getting from those emails. So why am I spending all that time and energy on those emails?
Yeah. So you just ask yourself, is this really matter? And can I be focusing my energy on other aspects of my business that do matter? Kind of going to that 20%, what 20% of my work is going to lead to 80% of my success. And the other thing, I know that we want to wrap this up, but also you kind of hinted at was in the book, Good to Great. Something he talks about also is, what am I going to stop doing to succeed? And what Dana just kind of hinted
Who's
at
that author?
Is,
and can you give me sure you give me a link so I can get that one in the show notes too. Who's that author?
I don't remember the author on Good to Great. I apologize. I should.
That's okay.
I'm apologizing to the author of that great book, Jim Collins.
Okay. So finish your thought there.
But what you were saying is, you got to a point, what am I going to stop doing to be successful? And you got to the point where it's like, I'm going to stop doing these daily emails because those aren't leading to success, and in the book, a lot of times, you can apply this to your regular life. Matter of fact, when I started my Amazon business, I actually did that. What am I going to stop doing in order to be successful? And at the time, and I've done the same thing recently, I'm a gamer, and I can go down that route very, very easily. And before I went down the route of finding my Amazon business, I was playing games all the time, and I realized, what am I willing to, or what do I need to let go of to be successful? I was like, I need to let go of playing these games for hours. And Dana, what you just said is, I need to let go of doing these emails every single day. It's just.
I was scheduling them out, but it's still time. It's still time and energy to get that done. So yeah. All right. So as you think about your business, people, entrepreneurs out there, because if you're listening here, you probably have an entrepreneurial mindset. Boy, it's got to slow down on the syllables on that one.
Say that 10 times fast.
Yeah. So you have an entrepreneurial mindset. You are a business person. You're just in this discovery, like the rest of us, trying to figure out to find the pieces that click together the right way that are going to get our businesses moving forward. I would challenge you, stop everything you're doing and ensure that you understand your idea and how it relates to the problem you are trying to that you have that you can solve for people. You got to get back to that before you can get any further. If you've got that wrong, everything else is wrong. You can spend all of your time and energy and money and all of these other things, but if you don't understand the problem that you're solving for people and can articulate that very quickly and easily, then you're wasting your time. So with that, it's time to cut out. I want to thank you all for listening.
It's been great, everybody. Always fun to get on here with Dana and share our thoughts with everybody. If you have any comments, feel free to comment. Also, I encourage you to subscribe. We're going to have a lot more podcasts coming your way, and we're looking forward to spending time with y'all.
Yeah, and go to Zero to Income, ZERO, the number 2, income.com. Get on the email list, and we can keep you posted as things develop.
Take care, everybody.
All right. Thank you all.